Yo, welcome back to the Wong Mindset. So today I'm going to be reacting to why Japan's homeless are different from North America. So this is a part one. So there's a couple parts of this. I'll see if it's any good and maybe I'll do more reactions to this. But this is from Life Where I'm From. I've never seen these guys before, but they look pretty big. So we'll see. I'll leave a link to them in the description. That's interesting because I live in San Francisco and there's hella homeless people out here, and it seems like it's getting out of control, but it's not as bad as LA. LA is a different animal, but out here we have that problem, and it still seems like it's getting worse. All right, so let's see what the Japan homeless folks are all about. I have a feeling it's different. It's totally different. It's not like, drugged out or just I don't know. It's interesting. I just don't think it's the typical stuff we're used to seeing over on this side. So let's get into it.
This is the image that has been stuck in my mind for years.
They got solar panels?
Here I was, below the massive towers of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, and I came across this blue tarp with solar panels on it. This was quite a scene for me.
Yo, even the homeless folks got solar going. Man, they're advanced. They're really advanced out there.
That's because back in Vancouver, where I lived most of my adult life, I was used to seeing scenes like this.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Why were the visible homeless I encountered in Tokyo
Same with
different?
all these big cities.
Thus started my search into understanding why the homeless in Japan are different than the homeless in North America. Where I started to find answers was in the research work of Professor Tom Gill.
My name's Tom Gill. I'm from England, but I've lived in Japan for about 25 years, and I'm a professor of social anthropology here at Meiji Gakuin University, Yokohama campus. There are a number of things about Japanese society which makes it a lot easier to deal with homelessness than in other industrialized countries.
Oh, interesting.
For a start, the level of drug abuse is much lower in Japan than a lot of other countries. It's pretty difficult to get hold of hard drugs in Japan unless you know a yakuza,
besides yakuza,
a gangster who will supply you. And for the most part, guys who become homeless in Japan don't do drugs other than tobacco and alcohol. Yes, there are a substantial number of alcoholics in the Japanese homeless population. There are also a considerable number of compulsive gamblers. And of course, even if you are getting livelihood protection money, if you spend it all on alcohol or horse...
Livelihood protection money. Okay, so do you have that in Japan? Let's see. So that's nice. They just fall back on something.
Racing in the first couple of days of the month, you can still end up on the street. Another important factor is that Japan has a very conservative approach to treatment of mentally ill people
health, that's a big thing,
who are generally institutionalized. If you look at statistics for mental health, in Japan, you're much more likely to be put away in an institution if you have a mental health problem.
I don't know about that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, yeah. So if you got mental health issues, they just put you, or they get you help, or they just put you away somewhere and no one ever sees you.
We never went through the processes that were called mainstreaming in America and care in the community in Britain, which are both kind of code words for shutting down mental hospitals and letting mentally ill people out into society.
Yeah, that's what they're doing over here. They're just letting them loose. I don't know, there's nowhere to take them, right? They do something crazy. They might not even bother them now. The police could come out and just say something and they just leave them because they take them, if they take them to the station for a minute, they'll put them right back out there. Then what's the point?
And which might have seemed like a good idea. Some liberal people did support that move, but unfortunately, there wasn't the backup to follow what happened to these people after they were let out. And a certain number of them ended up being on the streets.
Yeah, you
and
can't just
that's
let them
one
out
of the
and just
reasons
like
why
let the
you
world
have a
handle
lot of
it.
people with mental health issues in the homeless population in many industrialized countries. Then a third factor
Oh, yeah,
is
you got always the
that
war
Japan has
veterans.
managed to keep out of wars and conflicts since
Oh,
the
they've
end
got a
of
lot
World
of
War II.
veterans
So as a
out in the
result,
streets too, huh?
traumatized war veterans, which are another large component, particularly of the American homeless population, we don't have that in Japan either. Where are homeless people? Urban parks, riverbanks, streets, station buildings.
Dude, I was out there in Tokyo and I didn't see any. I don't remember seeing any. Maybe like in a far off, like under the tunnel thingy, we walked by to get some izakaya snacks. We might have saw some, but it's not even. You can't even see it.
And
Not like this.
other buildings. So the kind of archetypal
Yeah,
situation
like this, under the
where you're walking along the
train lines.
street and you encounter a homeless person is a lot less likely to happen
I
in
didn't see
Japan
any.
because a lot of them are not in that part of the urban space. Most of them do try to keep clean. One of the reasons why they tend to gather in parks is because they generally have public toilets, and
That's one thing too. Like they got some kind of self-respect. Maybe they're not suffering from all the same issues, but they seem to be taking care of themselves. It sounds like they're not just letting it all hang out and just don't give a crap about like public and the society.
washrooms there, which helps you to maintain.
Dude, those Japanese bathrooms are clean. So if they take care of themselves and they don't tear up the place, they could look decent.
Basic level of hygiene. On the question of begging, it's true that very few homeless people in Japan beg. Far more likely, as a way of making a bit of money, is can recycling. And sometimes
I
newspapers.
think there's a thing with Asian folks, like there's some level of shame. You don't want to be out there begging. I think that plays into it.
And magazine recycling. That's the main way for putting together a little bit of
They
cash.
actually, if they're
Why
out
they
there
don't
picking up cans,
beg,
they're working
I
for
think
it.
there are push
I got respect
factors
for that.
and pull factors. Japanese are disinclined to beg. They're also disinclined to give to beggars.
Oh.
And these two things go hand in
Yeah.
hand.
So
In countries with a strong Christian tradition, or indeed a strong Muslim or Hindu tradition, giving to the poor.
Oh, if they don't give
is
anyways, then yeah, there's no
deeply
use begging.
ingrained in the religion and the culture. There's nothing quite like that in Japan. So
folks are just hanging out
people
too,
are
so it does happen.
less likely to give money to beggars. I mean, they're not used to being begged off. It's a chicken and egg situation, really. The fact that it's shameful to
It's
beg,
shameful.
and you don't want people to
You don't
know
want handouts.
that you're homeless.
That's
You
an
don't
Asian,
want people to know that you're unable
Chinese,
to
I guess,
look
Japanese
after
thing.
yourself. Pride,
There's some pride in
shame.
there. You don't want to be out
these are
there,
also
be seen like
factors.
that.
I'm sure you have many questions about homelessness in Japan, and I did as well. It's a very complex topic that touches on many parts of society. As such, this is just a single video as part of a bigger series about homelessness in Japan that I'll be making, so stay tuned for that. I have to give special thanks to Professor Tom Gill, who's so knowledgeable and so generous with his time, so thank you for that.
All right, so this one was interesting just to see what's actually going on out there in Japan, because I really like Japan. I'm loving me some Japan. I'm just in love with the culture and attention to detail and just everything they got going on out there, just the way of life and the food and the shopping and everything. I'm just loving it. I want to be back there. Oh, all the hot springs. I'm just enjoying the life out there. I cannot wait to go back. So this is interesting to see. And when I was out there, I didn't see any homeless folks. I went there twice the last 2 years, and it was nice. It was all nice. And this is so it definitely happens everywhere. But they're not suffering from the same things we have out here in SF. This is totally different. They look like they have it under control. This is how we should probably be doing it. Go back to some of these things because we're not taking control of it right now. We're throwing billions and billions into this, and it's just getting worse. All right, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.